We need to be involved with some of these cases. We need to talk to our peers and then try to encourage them.
I told youth with disability, you can't feel ashamed. We have to get started because we need to lay a legacy.
I want people to listen to what young people have to say. I want them to take action.
No, but we are suffering at the University of Liberia.
This is Liberia. 60% of the country's population are young people. It's a post-conflict country where the last decade since the end of the war has meant rebuilding the nation and reigniting the spirit of the people. During 13 years of fighting, children have been turned into soldiers by warlords desperate to seize control. Their rights to education and safety lay somewhere amidst the blood-stained soil and the war wreckage. "11 years on, and the majority of the young people remain uneducated, impoverished, and unsure of how to move forward. Children sell items on the bustling streets of Liberia's capital, Monrovia, to make a better life.
I live for my mama and my papa. But now I live for my mama. Mama don't get money, so she tell me to can say. I want to become a lawyer.
225, mama, anyone you take for the nigga, 225.
I go to school. Then after school, I can say.
Usually, the voices of children like these are ignored.
One Voice is a one-hour program that discusses those issues that are relevant to the young people.
But one young radio presenter is making sure their needs are made clear to the public and to politicians. 28-year-old Amos Williams got a job at a UN radio station and uses his show, One Voice, as a platform for children's voices.
Hello, this is Omer Radio, and I'm out as usual to do a Vox Sport. I'm at the University of Liberia.
He starts by finding out what children and young people think on a different topic each week. Amos then blasts the airwaves with their views and calls politicians into the studio to quiz them on the issues raised. On the agenda this week is youth and politics.
We have the right to be there. And mind you, there are some of them who are also prepared, who are qualified, who have some of the basic experiences, and they want to be there.
Are they right or justifiable to point to the fact that Liberia as a country, young people interested in politics from what you talk about, can lead this country to a better future?
Well, then there's from the perspective of the fact that young people want to be into politics instead of wrong thing. I would say no.
Radio is that powerful tools that I can use to get the policymaker, to get my generation, my peers, see what it is that can change the minds and the policy that policymakers are making. But is your work in line with what a definition means about politics?
Well, am I running for office? I have a political appointment, so in a certain sense, that makes me a politician.
But do you think it would be wrong if someone were to point to you and say Abba Jaja is a politician, based on his status and where he sits?
The person defines a politician.
Amos has confronted government officials about corruption, lack of education, and child rape, pressuring them to take action.
I want people to listen to what young people have to say. I want them to take action. I want them to take immediate action. I get annoyed when they're just hearing it and not taking action.
In Liberia, more than 30% of children work. more than half the child population does not get primary education. From an early age, Amos looked to change things for children. When he was 13, he joined the child rights advocacy group Voice of the Future that was very outspoken against mistreatment of children in post-conflict Liberia. 3 years later, in 2003, he and some youths founded Peace Child Liberia and then the Liberian Children's Parliament. Politicians have admitted that Amos has made them change the direction of their policies concerning young people.
Amos Williams is somebody we really appreciate. He's one of us. He's actually been using his passion with his career to help us intercommunicate the youth issues in the country. And I'm grateful, very grateful.
Amos has managed to leave an impression on ministers, but he is one of a few that are able to impact those at the top. Many other young people in Liberia try to get the attention of government officials. They hold protests and march through the capital city. Their voices are loud, but they often go unheard.
But we are suffering at the University of Liberia. Your education system is a mess.
They are shouting out for better education.
We've come here in our mass as angry students radical who have determined to shift the educational destiny and paradigm of our society, informing and reminding the president of this country about her constitutional mandate and responsibility to ensure that the educational system of our country be re-awakened.
We don't have trained teachers. We need more. We need more trained teachers. We want to go to school free. We want free education because our constitution said that we have access to free education.
It's been 3 hours.
Yes, I'm waiting for the president.
Waiting for the president herself.
Almost 2 weeks ago, we made noise. She sent her representative. They came and gave us story, and they left.
They wait, but no one emerged from the ministry. The needs of these young people have been ignored. That's exactly what Amos wants to change.
Imagine if a young person gets up in the morning and can move to the national legislature and talk to his or her representative and say, look, representative, yesterday I went to school and the building for which taxpayer money is going to, and the instructor was not in classroom to teach us. And the representative being able to listen to that young person and taking that concern of that young person to where national decisions are made in the interest of those young people. That's what I want to see. That is exactly what I want to achieve. With that, it helps to enhance the growth of the country because both ends are listening and talking to each other.
The growth of the country is at the forefront of the mind of this 18-year-old. She is one of the few teenage girls in male-dominated Liberia who has been able to make a change. Like Amos, she represents young people whose voices go unheard.
My name is Justina Sigby. I'm 18 years of age, and I'm the first deputy speaker of the Liberian National Children's Representative Forum and member of other youth organizations in Liberia.
One of her recent campaigns demanded tougher laws against rape. Sex abuse is one of the country's most serious problems, with children as young as 3 being victims. Widespread rapes have been declared a national emergency by Liberia's Minister of Gender. Justina called for rapists to be slapped with the death penalty. She made the recommendation at the Children's Festival in 2013.
If a child dies from rape, the person who did the act should also be penalized by getting killed because he just made a child lose his or her life.
She is waiting on the legislature to act on her proposal, which has been given serious consideration. Justina was born in the Liberian bush during the Civil War after her parents fled fighting in Bong County. Her mother soon left the country for the United States as part of a program to resettle war-affected Liberians abroad. She was raised by her father.
This is Justina. Justina was small when we were in Côte d'Ivoire. From this picture, she was now at the age of 5 when we came back to Liberia. She was born in the bush where there was no medicine, but as God would have it, God kept her.
Like many Liberian children, her education was disrupted by the country's civil war. She started school 2 years late at the age of 8 because schools had been shut down during the conflict.
My father was the one I grew up with because my mother left me when I was really young. And so I believe he didn't allow me to play, though we had a lot of experiences, but then he still kept on telling me to go to school, to learn and be a better person. The palm branches can be used.
In her spare time, Justina helps other children to get a better education.
The color of the tabernacle is brown and black.
She believes that these extra lessons after school will lead them to excel in their studies and become empowered to say what they think.
Once you are educated, I believe you'll be able to speak, you'll be able to talk. So once they come and then they learn, once they are educated, they become to feel they are part of the society, they will become to feel exposed, and then things that they are unable to say right now to people, they will be brave enough to stand with someone and argue that about our economy. They will be brave to stand with someone and talk to them as though they really have good insight about the issue they are discussing.
Learn about the palm tree. I learn spelling, math. I want to be a banker because when I grow up, I will be a better person.
I wish to make impact on people's lives because I feel it's good. I feel people will remember you, society will remember you once you are able to make someone feel good, once you are able to make someone feel better.
Justina also has keen political ambitions. She plans to run for elected positions both within the student government and the children's parliament.
If I see my baby now, I feel very happy because you imagine it's like a man bringing a child up and the child, coming up satisfactorily. I feel very happy and proud of her. I am proud of her in a way.
Today, radio presenter Amos is on a mission. He wants to hold a children's parliament in Monrovia.
I envision a scene of young people filling this place and playing the role of the national leaders, debating the issues, coming up with resolution and agreeing on it, and then have the speaker and the vice president watching them and seeing how young people can speak out on their own issue and see how young people can call for action on their own issue.
He is planning the Children's Parliament to coincide with the Day of the African Child, an international day to mark children's rights. But first, he needs the government to agree to his proposition. The father of one attempts to get a meeting with the chief clerk after leaving a letter at his office.
Wow. Hello, Chief. Yeah? How are you? My name is Amos Williams, and I brought a letter yesterday asking for a number of things. One, informing the chief clerk about. I brought a letter yesterday informing the chief clerk about an intention of June 16, where a number of children would take over the parliament. That letter was sent to the speaker. The speaker asked that we send a copy of it to the chief clerk. So I brought it yesterday and I came to follow up.
He is told that his letter must be read during the parliamentary session the following day before permission can be granted.
But just in case I want to come by, I think at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
But he only has 5 days left to organize 100 children to be in parliament.
Thank you.
When Amos is not working, he spends time with his wife, Barawubu.
He's intelligent. He is ambitious. When he wants something, he goes for it.
They have a young daughter, and she is a reminder to Amos of the importance of working for children's rights.
He's willing to push other people up. Once he has the support, he's willing to give it. Unlike other young people, they will want that for themselves. They wouldn't want to support anyone to go to the top.
There are 3 days left until the Day of the African Child.
I'm still persistent and I'm still insisting that I want young people to take over the parliament.
But Amos has had no communication from the government on his children's parliament proposition. He is getting worried, but he stays positive. He phones the chief clerk's office to follow up.
Hello, madam. This is Amos Williams. I was basically calling to follow up on the communication that I dropped at your office. So where does it leave all of that? Does this suggest that it's not going to be possible? Thank you.
Amos refuses to fall at the final hurdle. He cannot get children inside the parliament chambers, but he can take them to the doors of the building to try to get the ministers to come outside.
What do you want?
Quality education.
What do you want?
Quality education.
For who?
For us.
For who?
For us.
The Day of the African Child became an annual event in 1976 after thousands of children in South Africa took to the streets in protest against the lower quality of their education compared to white students. In the 2 weeks of protest that followed, more than 100 people were killed and more than 1,000 were injured. In their honor, these Liberian children march today, led by Amos. Their protest calls ministers out from their offices. One of the children presents a petition to the officials.
An urgent call to action for quality education. Here in Liberia, over 1 million children, making up 53% of Liberian children, are denied their right to primary education. This is unacceptable. And
they appeal to Liberia's parliament to put every child in school.
Put every child in school. Work urgently to collaborate with partners to ensure all children have access to quality education.
We listened keenly as the student read the petition on your behalf. We think we are in agreement with you that education is not only a must, but it's the key to our upliftment, our development.
Amos may have been denied the inside of the parliament for his takeover, but by bringing the legislators to the street, he still achieved his objectives. The children's voices were heard on their issues. The adults had to respond to their demands.
I think, given what I've seen today, there's a need to revisit our action and see how we can now structure the budget so that it impacts education directly. Thank you.
The Speaker called a meeting the following month to discuss restructuring the budget. Another young Liberian determined to push through positive change is Daintawan Pebe. Even with a disability, she believes no one can silence her voice. The 29-year-old is part of the Federation of Liberian Youth, which coordinates the work of the youth groups across the country, so they are building towards a common goal.
The Federation of Liberian Youth is an umbrella organization of youth groups within Liberia, and it's basically to be able to seek the welfare and well-being of youth across the country.
She was involved with drafting a new national youth policy in Liberia, which has been presented to the government to effect change for young people. Daintawan suffered polio as a child and has been left with a permanent limp. The illness made her feel, as she grew up, that she did not have individual rights and her only existence would be dependent on those around her. But through that struggle came a determined belief in not just her rights, but also those of people around her.
I need to be like an independent person where I become like creative and see what I can do. And one of the steps I took was to move out of my parents' house. I felt really good. And I believe that every youth with disability should feel the same and try to make life like the way other people did so that you can have a story to tell to someone tomorrow that they will be able to, let's say you will serve as a role model to them. That's one thing I felt. I felt like, yes, indeed, I can be a role model to someone.
Daintawan is one of the only women and the first female with a disability to be part of the Federation of Liberian Youth. She graduated from the University of Liberia in 2011 and is the country coordinator of the African Youth with Disability Network. She is working on a new constitution for Liberia as part of a review committee.
As you know, the constitution review process is ongoing, and the last time it was changed was 1986. That was the time they did a referendum, and then the constitution was changed. So after 10 to 15 years, there's a need that the constitution go through a revision process.
While looking at the constitution, her and her colleagues came across something that alarmed them. Should the president or vice president develop a disability, they would be forced to step down.
It is actually a form of discrimination and then being biased to persons with disability in the community of Liberia.
Daintawan recommended that President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf should make a national statement reminding Liberians that people with disabilities are citizens and should be treated equally.
She met the president. She was very articulate. She clearly spelled out what she thought the government should be doing for young people. And we took it in, we listened to them, we hear their advice, and we cooperate. It is interactive. The young people are demanding, rightly so. They want education, they want a better life, they want better infrastructure, they want better schools, better hospitals. And we as politicians, we have to listen to the voices of those young people.
Meeting the president and even having her to listen to me, I feel so proud. And I feel that to some extent I've made it, because these are heroes of our time. these are stakeholders that the world refer to. So when I see myself like associating with them, I feel good, but then I feel somehow sad because I'm like, why me and not my others?
Me, I don't go to school, then nobody send me to school. Nobody come and hear me to go to school.
And I told youth with disability, you can't feel ashamed. We have to get started because we need to lay a legacy. So come out. Whatever people say, whatever way they look at you, just say what you want to say.
Justina has been waiting almost 1 year for a response to her proposal that child rapists should be punished with the death penalty. This week, Dainty One has joined her in Amos's radio studio to try to make her proposition a talking point again. The trio is with Dede Kwekwe from the Ministry of Gender.
This is One Voice on Ome Radio, and today we put in a spotlight on domestic violence with a strong focus on child rape.
One thing we notice about the issue of child rape is difficult because they are children. They are raped, they are going with the punishment, they are going with the pains, they are going with the long-term effect. Their cases have to go to court. They cannot defend themselves. They need the parents to do that. Some parents are not willing. Majority of them don't go to court. Majority of them compromise at a very high level.
General Ministry need to do more than more because these issues happen every day.
How does it make you feel when you hear babies of your age, young girls of your age being raped?
I lose my sense of reasoning because right now when you find out that people of my ages are being raped and then they can't even report it, they don't have the courage to report it. That's what I'm saying. We need to be involved with some of these cases. We need to talk to our peers and then try to encourage them. If we ourselves are involved, if we ourselves go out in the field and then talk to our peers and they see us, I think they will have the courage and then they will be more encouraged to be able to report cases.
The children are violated by people who know them. They are not strangers. They are close to them. They are very close people to them.
I would recommend you need to partner with most of the advocacy groups that can say these things. Sometimes being in government, it's hard to say some of these things. But we are out there, we can partner with you, we can say these things in whatever way it can be said for our people to get it in a layman English that they will understand it.
Children in Liberia have had a rough deal, but future generations are the foundation that this country will be built on. Amos, Justina, and Dainty One are making sure of it.
I want a Liberia that she can feel very proud of and realize her own dream.
So you get 20 days, man, 5 from them. That's my dream, to see change in Liberia and to be looked at as one of the ladies who brought change to the children of Liberia.
Living for the sake of others is one thing I like to do.
We're not far from getting there. Looking at the issues and the sentiments from the youth hypolar right now, I think we're very close to a system where the young people themselves will take power. We're working toward that.
Let everyone be champion of advocating for protecting our children. Goodbye from